I'm Nikki and welcome to the Preppy Possum. Today I'm going to lead you step by step through a painting. Today we're going to paint a winter floral. So let's start with like our big poinsettia. So I would grab maybe a number 4 size brush and dry it off. And let's use a little bit of like a dark red. And I'm just going to skip in, I don't know, at least 8 inches or so, probably from that top right hand corner, like at a diagonal. And I'm going to start with like a little bumpy center. So just kind of a little dark cheerwine color bumpy center. And then right off of that, we're going to throw a few petals. So you can kind of look at a poinsettia if you want to, but some of them, and I know I'm probably saying that wrong, poinsettia, whatever. Y'all know what I'm saying. But we'll just kind of draw the edges of our petals first. Even though some of these are going to be a little covered up. Like I said, y'all's can be a little bit different, and I'm doing it like really big and kind of off-centered because it's kind of our focal point, and then we'll put our jar down here. I'm going to go ahead and throw in a whole petal here, even though I'm probably going to cover it a little bit later. So now we kind of have the outline of our poinsettia, or at least a start to it. So let's wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. And let's go ahead and grab like a red handle, well, like a number 6 is probably a good size. It's like a number 6 brush and dry it off. And we're going to grab some really light blue, maybe even a little bit of white with it. Because I'm going to do like an old-timey blue jar, but you could do whatever. But I'm going to use like a sky blue with a little bit of white, maybe even a little bit of seafoam. And hop up just a smidge from the bottom of your canvas. And we're going to do a droopy little line. So you just want it to have a little bit of a droop for the bottom of your jar. And then I'm just going to throw a little line straight up from both sides. Well, on the left-hand side, you want it to go like all the way to your poinsettia, unless you made yours a little bit smaller. And then I would kind of hoop it in a little bit, but I made mine pretty big, so we're just going to go straight up with it. And then I'm going to take this one on the right-hand side, kind of straight up, and then I'm just going to let it curve a little bit at the top. And I don't even have to do the top of the jar because I'm going to cut that off with a leaf. I might just go ahead and like draw on there a bottom of a leaf, since we're not even going to have to, the top of the jar isn't even going to be seen. And then just grab a bunch of that blue, and we're just going to fill it all in with a layer. And whenever you're filling it in right now, just kind of grab it and go for it, because we can come back and streak it up later. And then once you have a layer through your blue jar, then just kind of wipe off your extra. So don't rinse it out, just kind of wipe it off. And let's grab some bright red. You could grab a little bit of dark with it, but mostly bright red. And let's go ahead and throw a layer in through all of our petals. So I would kind of hit the middle of them first. And then we'll just take it like all the way to our dark that we threw on there, because we'll come back and throw another layer on everything. All right, so we got a thin little layer going on through our poinsettia. Now let's go ahead, while we still have the red on our brush, and just skip over a little bit to the right from our poinsettia, and let's go ahead and throw a few little circles on here, because we're gonna make these some little like roses here in a little bit. So I would just do like 4 kind of circles together, like the size of a ping pong ball or something. One of them can kind of be hiding a little, but we'll come back and make them better later. For right now, they're just kind of circles. And then once you get that on there, just kind of wipe off your extra paint. You can rinse it out if you want to, but I'm probably just gonna wipe it off. And grab a little bit of light pink. So like some really light baby pink. And we're gonna skip up just a smidge from like the red ones we threw on there. I'm gonna do a few pink ones, so just a couple pink circles. And then I'm gonna go ahead maybe and throw a couple pink ones over here, just kind of touching your flower. And then once you get both of those, then let's go ahead. I think we can throw everything else like after we do our wood. So let's go ahead and, well, let's wipe off our brush and grab a little bit of dark green. Let's do our leaves first. So kind of wipe it off and grab some dark green. And let's go ahead and throw our one little leaf that goes right here. I'm gonna have it kind of go over my little flowers. I got kind of large and in charge with the flowers there. And then you can go ahead and fill that one in with a layer. And if it's not showing up dark enough, you could grab just a tiny bit of black or navy blue with it, just to make it show up a little bit darker. And then we can come back and throw another layer on it later. So we have a leaf right there. And then let's go ahead and skip up like right here, and let's go ahead and throw us a big leaf. We can always like throw a few things over it. And then just kind of fill that in all the way to your flowers. All right, so we got us a couple of leaves going on. So now let's just wipe that brush off a smidge. So we're still using like a number 6 probably, and just kind of wipe it off and grab some dark brown. It's like a really dark brown with even a tiny bit of black. And now we're gonna do our boards. And if you didn't wanna do boards behind it, you could just paint it all a solid color, but I'm gonna go ahead and maybe skip up a smidge from the bottom. And then I'm just gonna try to like skip 3 or 4 inches and do a line, and then just keep on doing that. Trying to make sure my lines are somewhat even. So we got all of our lines on there, and y'all can wrap those around the sides if you want to too. But we got the lines, so let's wipe that one off, chunk it in the water, and let's go ahead and grab a huge brush. So if you have like a 1-inch brush or something, that'd be perfect. Grab one of those and dry it off, and we're gonna grab you can still have some of the dark brown, but grab like a little bit more like a milk chocolate with it, and we're gonna hit all the big areas. So I would hit all the big areas before you get up next to those lines we just did. So kind of hit the middle of all your boards. All right, so we got like the middle. Now keep those browns. I'm gonna scooch my canvas up just so I can get all the way here at the bottom. But now we're gonna take it like all the way to our lines. So you just don't want any more white. And we can swap out to a smaller brush to get like all the way up next to stuff, but I'm just kind of hitting the big stretches for right now. So I'm taking it all the way up next to it. And I just like did all the middle parts first just to give our little lines a second to dry. They're still wet, but it's all right if a little bit of it mixes in, because we're gonna come back and make our boards look more like wood and add some dark streaks anyway. Okay, I think I got most of the big areas that I could get with this brush. All right, so let's wipe off our huge brush and chunk it in the water. And let's grab like a red handle, or number 6, and dry it off. And we're gonna grab some more of those same browns, so some dark brown, milk chocolate. And now we're gonna get all the way up next to our jar. So get up next to your jar and all your flowers. And the trick to getting like a good smooth line is to grab a bunch of paint and then just be real light with it. Trying to get up next to my light colors first. That way I won't get if y'all are doing this at home and wanted to paint it all like brown first and then do everything over, you could do that too. I was just trying to speed it along. I really don't have to paint inside here because we're gonna do that purple, but I'll just go ahead and just to get a layer of paint on there to make it a little easier. All right, just a few more little smidges. So let's grab a little bit more dark brown and let's do a few dark brown like horizontal streaks through some of our boards while it's still wet, and it'll kind of blend in. So that same brush, just grab a little bit more of the dark brown with it. And whenever you're like adding these streaks, make sure you have some that like kind of go off the edges so they're not just through the middle. I think we got most of our streaks. So now we'll just wipe that one off and chunk it in the water. We're gonna let it dry for just a second. All right, let's get our winter floral looking a little bit better now that it's a little bit more dry. So let's start by grabbing like a number 6 size brush again and dry it off, and grab some more like really light blue. And we're just gonna throw another layer through our jar. I'm gonna kind of start in the middle just to get it kind of thickened up. so we got our jar, kind of another layer on there. Then just grab a tiny bit of turquoise, so like a little bit of a turquoise blue, and let's throw a little bit of that at the bottom to kind of give it a glare. And then I would even throw like a little bit, kind of a line that just leans up a little to show like the back of the jar, the back of that glass. And then you could even take a little bit of the turquoise and throw it down the side, because if it gets too heavy, you can always blend it in a little. You can see how I'm kind of streaking it over a little bit. And then I'm gonna do that on this side too. So kind of streak it over a smidge. I might even grab a little bit more turquoise just to get it. And throw a little bit. All right. So now we have a start on our jar. So let's just wipe that one off. And let's chunk it in the water and grab a little bit smaller size brush, so like a number 4, and dry it off. And we're gonna grab a little bit of dark pink with a light pink. So a little bit of dark with a really light pink. And we're gonna go ahead and do kind of like a broken cinnamon roll, like a little spiral through all of our light pink flowers, just to get a little bit of dark in there, and then we can come back in a sec and throw more light pink if we need to. So you're just kind of doing like a broken spiral. The trick is to load your brush with a lot of paint and then just be really light with it. Then I can come back with some white. All right, so we got the start to our little light pink flowers. Now let's go ahead and let's wipe that one off and grab a little bit of like a sea foam, a bluish green, with some like limey green, maybe even a touch of brown with it. So sea foam, a little bit of limey, and then maybe like a touch of like a tan or something. And we're gonna do like some little circles with that color, like up here, kind of in a row. So kind of like penny size. They're kind of all the same size, so I might throw like a couple like half of ones in there just so they won't be too perfect. All right, so we got to start on those. Then I would even grab a little bit more brown and like maybe throw a little bit of that on like one side of a few of them. All right, so we got to start on that greenery, then just kind of wipe that one off a smidge. And now let's grab some limey green and dark green together. And we're gonna throw a few lighter leaves up here at the top. So you want them kind of skinnier towards your flower, and then they get skinnier at the top as well. I think it got a little too dark, so I'm gonna grab a little bit more limey. And then I'm gonna throw probably like a little part of one right here. Okay, now, so we got to start on that. Now I'm going to keep those 2 greens, and I'm going to skip up to the top right, and I'm just going to, you can start with a little sprig if you want to, just like a guideline, and then I'm going to throw tiny little circles off of it. All right, they might not have gotten quite light enough, so I'm gonna throw a few more little bits of light to it. So we have our start to our green stuff. You could use this brush or a little bit smaller one. So I'm probably just gonna stick with the number 4, but if you wanna swap out to like a tiny like number 1, that'd be cool too. But we're gonna throw like a few little sprigs of like evergreens. So you wanna start with like a little line, and then we're just gonna throw some sprigs. Always start from the line and come away with it. And we're just gonna throw, they can get a little bit smaller towards the top. And then we'll do like maybe another sprig over here. So it's hard for me to see, but I'm probably gonna throw like another sprig over here too. So we got a few little greenery sprigs. So now let's go ahead and wipe that one off. Or actually, while we have it, let's go ahead and while we have the 2 greens, let's throw a little bit of light through our dark leaves. So you can just kind of throw a little vein down the middle and then throw a few. And if you get heavy with this, you can always come back and slim it up. Like I might add some more dark into it later. All right, so we have a little bit of light through there. So now let's go ahead and wipe that one off and rinse it out a little bit and dry it off. And we're gonna grab some yellow. And let's go ahead and add like our little circles to the middle here. So I'm just gonna do like some tiny little circles right through the dark part of our big flower. All right, so we got that going on. Let's go ahead and wipe that one off. And let's grab a little bit of bright red. And let's do just some little berries like over here. Have a little bit of pink with it just so it's kind of brightens it up. I'm gonna do like quite a few. So it'll be like a little cluster over here. And then I'll go ahead and throw like a little cluster up here too. Oh, I forgot to throw some evergreen up there. We can throw some in a sec. Just as long as you have like a lot of greenery, I think that's what's gonna make it look good. Okay, so we got some little clusters going on. Now let's grab a little bit of the light pink with the red, and we're gonna hop to our roses, and we're just gonna do like a loose spiral again. So load your brush with a lot of paint and just be really light and loose. And then we'll even grab a little bit of the dark red. Might have got too dark there. And then I'm just gonna do a few light little loose wiggles back in there. All right, so we got the start of those flowers. While we have that dark on our brush, let's go ahead and go back to our big flower and like throw a few of our darks a little bit darker, just because that's going to be what makes it look good. So to kind of separate our petals again. And all right, so, and then we'll throw like a little bit of dark around our little dots in the middle too. Okay, so got to start on the dark there. Then let's go ahead and wipe our extra off and chunk it in the water. So now I'm going to grab a little bit bigger size brush again, so like a number 6. You could still use a 4 if you want to draw it on with that, but I'm going to use a number 6 and some dark purple, and I'm going to throw like a big purple piece of greenery right here, kind of behind, that goes behind our little roses. Whoop. And then once I get that on there, I'm going to go ahead and fill it all in. And then I might even grab a tiny bit of like a dark pink with the purples and add a little bit of that in there too. Kind of give it a little bit of a sheen. Okay, now we got our purple piece on there. So let's go ahead and wipe that one off. And let's grab a little bit more of the bright red. And we're just gonna throw another layer in through all of our little petals on our big flower. I'm gonna kind of hit some through the middle first, just since that dark's still super wet. We got to start through our flower. Now let's go ahead and wipe that one off, chunk it in the water, and let's grab, you can use like a number 1 or number 4. I'm probably gonna use like a number 1 and dry it off, and I'm gonna grab some turquoise. And now I'm gonna write, like you can write whatever, I'm just gonna make mine a ball jar. So I'm gonna put it on there first with the dark, then come back and highlight with a little bit lighter. just gonna do the perfect mason down here too, but you don't have to do that. I think some of the old jars had it and some of them didn't. And then just grab a little bit of a lighter color, and we're gonna add like a few little highlights. So a little bit of white. While I have this tiny brush, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little bit of green and throw some greenery up there that I forgot. But you could go back in and fill in, like if you had more spaces, you could throw like a few little sprigs of greenery like that. But I think we got it pretty good, just to kind of fill in. And then I might use maybe a number 4 and a little bit of dark green. And then just kind of darken up a few places on my little leaves here, because they were kind of see-through. All right. So got those darkened up. Let's go ahead. You could go back and touch up your wood if you want to, but I think mine's gonna be good. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that teeny tiny brush. So like a number 1 and dry it off. So now we'll use that teeny tiny brush and we'll go ahead and sign it. And now we have our winter floral.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Be sure to check us out. We're on Cox Street in Asheboro. And be sure to check out our website, www.thepreppypossum.com.